Hey everybody, this is Colonel Leck here. So welcome to Mr. Jim Miller's retirement ceremony. I know this is a little awkward for, I think, both Jim and I, and Mr. Matthews here standing on my right, to have a small conference room. We have a couple folks in here right now that we're running the camera feeds and kind of the audio with, and then the rest of you guys being out there on Zoom. So thanks for joining us today. Thanks for the opportunity to present to you, Jim, from me, from Mr. Matthews, to be able to do this for you today. But it's a great pleasure. It's a sad day in CE that we're going to get to do this, but on the other hand, it's a great day for you and your family. So I'm going to turn it over now to Steve and let him say a couple remarks.
Okay. Yeah, so the commander and I kind of drew straws, and everybody's going to hear about the great things that Jim has done for the footprint on McConnell and the impact he's made to our airmen and families. So that's going to come later on. I think what's more fun is to talk about some of the issues that we might have had over the years that are a lot more interesting to talk about. So the first one, when I first got here, we were working a roof project at the Dole Center, our big facility that holds our gym, officers club, education center. And I think we had just started that project a little bit into my time of arrival. And what makes it more interesting is my sister was part of the contract as the contractor overseeing the work. And so, okay, fine, how hard can it be to just kind of do a roof project? Well, about 5 years maybe that project took, and we had to replace the flooring on the basketball court, I think 3 times during the time, because each time we started work, some issue would pop up and we'd never be able to complete the work right before the winter season. And yeah, we warped the floor several times. So that was always a fun discussion to have, and the numerous meetings as to how long does it take to actually re-roof a building. So we go from that one, and then a couple years later, had a big push from the wing commander, and he really wanted to tackle an issue that the 4-star was pushing for, and that was a consolidation of the maintenance empire to include the demolition of this large facility, a monstrous scope of projects, probably 4 or 5, all interdependent on one another. And I remember the one time Jim came to my office and goes, "Hey Steve, we may have exceeded our limitations." And I kind of looked at him like, "No, I think we're good. Just keep on rolling along." I know he fretted about it for the longest time. And I'm like, "No, we're not going to talk about that. We're good." Because this was about a year afterwards and still looking over it. And I'm like, no, Jim, good job, keep it up. And then the last one where Jim really made us big money was setting us up with projects for year-end execution. And our general discussion is really late in the game. Let's make sure we choose projects that are easy to execute because it's last minute, no real oversight. So what kind of project can we do at year end that would cause us no issues? We did a fence project. A 3-year fence project. How hard can it be just to do some fencing? Well, we found a way to make it really, really difficult. But we eventually got it done. And again, that's some of the fun stuff that we get to deal with. You're going to hear about the other things. Some easy little KC-46 bed down that we were the first of, and a piece of cake. It's all about fencing and roofing. That is where the money is. So Jim, on behalf of everybody, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
The easiest looking projects are the hardest.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks, Mr. Matthews. So now I'll give you a little history here with Mr. Miller. Here we go. So when Mr. Miller applied for his retirement, we got his package up to the front office, and the first comment the chief made was, did you just realize that Mr. Miller was born before the Air Force was even a service? The Air Force didn't exist the day you were born.
What's my friends?
Yeah. So a little over a year after you were born, the Air Force was actually founded and became an independent service, right? But when you look back at the things, so you take Jim Miller's career that starts back in pre-Vietnam era, goes through Vietnam, then through that time period, goes through Desert Storm, goes through the Cold War, goes through Desert Storm, and then now makes it into all the other operations that we have from the terrorist side of the house, right from 9/11 on until now, that we're doing everything from our terrorist ops to all the humanitarian work that we do around the globe. And it's ironic that you think that, you know, if you sit in Jim's chair as the engineering flight chief, well, how does my job here at McConnell really impact the greater scheme of things when you talk about operations around the world? And when you talk to the historian here, the things in which you have seen at McConnell Air Force Base in your tenure, Jim, is absolutely amazing. You've seen airframes from fighters come and go. You've seen bombers be at McConnell Air Force Base, to now you ushered in the mighty KC-46A Pegasus in your last couple years of your tenure here. Every time the mission has changed, and we've shaped the mission and changed how we're doing work, and every bit of that comes with infrastructure and facilities that go along with that. You've molded and adapted McConnell to meet every mission, to meet the needs of our United States Air Force for 30 plus years here, and over 40 plus years total in your career. It's amazing when you look at that and you kind of think of how those pieces come together. Right? At one point in time, you were worried about managing a missile site and having missile sites on this base, even.
The only question was, did he bring it here from California with him or not?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the only outlier we did not know.
Yeah, so a couple things we couldn't piece together, but when you look through that and you talk about the history of McConnell, the last thing I did is when I sat there in my office, I looked at the base map across from me. And I look at that base map, Jim, and the day that I stepped on McConnell, the first thing that I said to Mr. Matthews was, it's absolutely amazing how nice our facilities are here at McConnell. And you look at that and you think, wow, Jim's had a hand in every one of those facilities on this base over his tenure here. Might have been minor things, simple things as putting 3-year fence projects together, or roofs that we think are going to be an easy repair that just don't seem to work out. But in the grand scheme of things, when you look at all of that, your impact on this installation, I don't think will ever be matched. It's amazing the legacy that you've left, and your legacy will live on for years and years and years after your tenure as an employee, Jim. So from me, from the 22nd Civil Engineers, I can't say thank you enough for your service, for the 40 plus years of total combined federal service that you have, and your 30 plus years as a civilian. Your dedication is, like I said, unmatched and unrivaled. It's incredible. Congrats, Jim, on your retirement. It's a sad day for us because we lose a guy that has a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience and a lot of years. But I know that for you and your family, there's great things to come, and an opportunity for you to be around and do different things that now we take you away from them. So congratulations, Jim, from me to you.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Take
now,
my eyes off that thing.
I was gonna say, yeah, exactly. Now we're gonna talk some of the formal stuff. So first off, we've got a decoration for you that Mr. Washburn's gonna read. So we'll go through this first, and then after that, I'll present a couple other tokens that we have for you.
All right.
So, publish the order.
Department of the Air Force presents the Outstanding Civilian Career Service Award to James E. Miller in recognition of his distinguished performance in support of the United States Air Force from 11 February 1990 to 31 December 2020. The most notable engineering flight chief, 22nd Civil Engineer Squadron, McConnell Air Force Base, Kansas. Mr. Miller's outstanding leadership, exemplary foresight, and ceaseless efforts were crucial to the success of a $267 million bed down of the Air Force's first KC-46 weapon system. His many efforts included the construction of a $17 million combat arms training facility and an $11 million air traffic control tower. His outstanding leadership earned him recognition for AMC's 2017 Engineering Flight of the Year Award, and his contributions directly supported McConnell's reception of the AMC's 2014 and 2017 Commander-in-Chief's Installation Excellence Award. The distinguished accomplishments of Mr. Miller's culminate in a long and distinguished career with the United States government, reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Signed, Richard C. Tanner, Colonel.
Thanks, Matt. So we'll hold this.
Okay.
We'll get the shirt to take a photo with his fancy phone.
Zoom in a little for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
There's this too. Yeah, so the actual metal decoration for you.
Yeah.
To add. A couple other things here. All right, so the first one, this is, if I can get it open. So this is a letter from Colonel Tanner direct to you. And it says, Mr. Miller, I'd like to congratulate you on a record of outstanding service to our great nation. For the past 30 years, the Air Force has benefited from your dedication and devotion. Your incredible contributions to the $267 million bed down, the Air Force's first KC-46 weapon system have been instrumental in helping to accomplish our mission and to meet the challenges of today's Air Force. As your career comes to a close, take pride in knowing your exemplary efforts and unwavering support contributed greatly to the Air Force mission. We thank you for a job well done. We wish you happiness and success in your future endeavors. Sincerely, Richard C. Tanner.
Oh, thank you.
One more here. This one's in the mail right now. You'll get this one in the mail. And it's sent up to him for signature.
I thought it was my retirement check.
Yeah, your retirement check. And so this is from the 18th Air Force 3-star from General Bibb, or 2-star, sorry. And it says, Mr. Miller, on the occasion of retirement from civilian service, please accept my sincere appreciation for your dedication and professional services to the United States Air Force. For your entry into civil service to your present position as a Civil Engineer Squadron Engineering Flight Chief at McConnell Air Force Base, you have served with distinction. Your 30-year career has been marked by significant contributions, and you will be sorely missed. Shannon and I wish you and your family a retirement full of health and happiness. Godspeed.
Great.
So you'll get that one. That'll come in the mail from General Gibb direct, but we got at least a draft of it. Is that last one or one more?
That was the last one.
Yeah.
This one.
So last up for you, Jim, a gift from your squadron leadership team. As you know, Steve has a laundry list of things in his office, and we keep those for special occasions like this.
That one,
Yeah, the reason we wanted to contribute this one to you is there's a very good reason. Can you guess what it is?
I'm not sure.
It's the first ever sign on McConnell Air Force Base.
Oh, really?
No. So like you, this sign has seen some years and a lot of things on McConnell Air Force Base.
Well, yeah, it looks kind of like me.
It's all weathered up, beat up, scratched up. Some of the decals have been replaced and put over the top of each other. The back, as you can see,
Yeah.
has been significantly weathered too.
Yeah.
But as you see, it's still outstanding and it's an amazing thing, right?
Yep.
So just like you, still serves a purpose.
It really makes sense.
No.
Make signs look that big.
Isn't that incredible? Yeah, Jim. So we wanted to give you a piece of McConnell, and we thought Wichita Street and the sign for Wichita Street was a perfect example of that.
That's great.
So
You know what?
thank you very much from your squadron leadership team.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, now I'm going to turn the time over to you. Actually, no, Matt's got something first. Matt's got it. Go ahead. You got to get framed.
All right, so
Oh, yeah.
this is from the engineering flight. So James E. Miller, thank you for the service and dedication you have given throughout your career to the Army, Air National Guard, and Air Force. Your leadership and contributions have led to our many successes and will be missed. So, and I want to share my story about Jim real quick. So I started about 7 years ago here at McConnell. Had no experience in construction or CE. I came from the airframe side of the house. So Jim's first project he gave me was the renovation of the wing headquarters. So, you know, a perfect project for someone that's never done anything with
I
construction.
apologize right now.
Just so 10 years, and he apologizes.
And it was one of the best contractors we've ever had, as Jim knows, right? I got one other thing too. This is a piece of the core from the 2-bay hangar. So this is a piece of the KC-46 bed
There's a big
down.
hole in the hangar.
Yes, there is. Don't park on that. So thank you very much, Jim. We appreciate
very
it.
much,
Thank
Matt.
you.
Well, I got some thank yous here. It took me about 90 minutes. Is it time?
Absolutely.
It's your time now. You have all the time in the world.
It's all your time.
I appreciate all the gifts. We just moved to a patio home down in Derby, small house, 1 story. And I found out very quickly, my wife gets to decorate the entire house, I get the garage. So this stuff, I found a place in the garage right under my ladder. First of all, I'd like to start off by thanking some people. a lot of people. My wife Sharon for supporting me all these years. She's super organized. She was a customer support manager in flight safety. Handled all kinds of weird cases and people over there, knows how to handle difficult people. So she was a good sounding board when I came home. Had a problem with my boss at the time. She was a good sounding board for that until it really helped me handle situations. Really brutally honest too. If I told her how I handled the situation myself, she didn't hold back until I screwed up. She told me, and she also made birthday cakes and for the squadron or for the flight every month, and Christmas cards at Christmas time and whatnot. She just did all those things to help me out. I did a little calculation the other day, and I figured she made roughly 6,400 lunches for me since I've been here on the base. Those are Kansas lunches, just in Kansas alone, and about 2 million calories. So I did the math, you know, if you figure in the long haul how much weight you would have lost if you just skipped lunch. If I just skipped lunch every day, I'd weigh a negative 160 pounds right now. My kids always supported me. They probably asked me, I have no credibility with them whatsoever in terms of retirement. Same as you guys, you know, with you either. I've told them several times I was going to retire and didn't. And of course they ask me about every month, when are you going to retire, Dad? And it's that's the reason for all the cameras and stuff. They won't believe this. I can't go home and say I retired because they won't believe it. They got to see the video evidence of it. Next, I'd like to thank the squadron leadership for having my back all the time. You take a lot of calculated risks in my job. And it's nice that they got your back. You don't think they're going to fire you anyway. Make a mistake. I assume that. Had that assumption. And really, I know Steve always had my back on this stuff. And when you have that mindset that you can risk and you can, no risk, no reward. And a lot of projects happen like that $20 million based on a promise, you know, we'll get it executed. And I didn't see any way we were going to get it executed initially. So thanks for the leadership on that. And I made some bonehead mistakes. Steve alluded to. But in the long run, everything worked out fine. I'd like to thank all my flight members, programs engineers. I like to call them that instead of programmers, programs engineers, because that's what they are. We're getting up to speed on the new programming rules. I don't know how they do. They need a PhD or something. How you understand all that stuff. I started out in programming and civil engineering years ago. It's 1976. And I had a typewriter, a straight edge. I think we had a copying machine, and that was it, pencil. And we still had to make slides and things like that, acetate slides and all that stuff. It's so much easier technologically now, but the complexity is ridiculous. What you have to do to advocate for a project nowadays. And they do a good job of it. We're getting our share of the bucks. Special shout out to Greg. I don't want to list a bunch of names here, but Greg certainly stuck out. Lychek got us through that KC-47. You know, how do you program 14 milcom projects for an aircraft that doesn't exist? And the air staff held back remember that? They held back all the details. Yep. They wouldn't give us anything.
Correct.
Didn't know how much equipment is going in there. We knew nothing. And so how do you figure out square footage and you come close on all 14 buildings? I mean, it's ridiculous. Greg got us through that. And I'm glad we made 85 happen before I left here. It's been like a 10 or 15 year struggle. I've been bid several times, went over my construction limit, just everything happened in the project. We finally made it out. There's a tank over there and it's got gas in it. We're done.
Right.
Project management engineers, that's a dedicated bunch. They work hard. What impresses me about them is they can adjust their workload. I mean, we can adjust workload on them and they just get everything done. I was just remarking this morning, I don't remember a single project we didn't obligate in 20 years. you know, if we got the money committed, we spent the money. And that's what project engineering staff putting it together to get it done. Now, there's plenty of times when I was worried, did a lot of screaming, but I knew they'd come through, and they always did. Some years we had $40 million in 1 year. I remember 1 year JJ had 7 projects. He had to get designed by the end of the year. And he's just a perfect individual. He had, everything has to be perfect before he would go over. And I'm looking at the industry coming along, and are we gonna get there? And so I'm back there about every day talking to JJ. What are you doing today, JJ? He always comes through, gets them done. I think the only one we missed, wasn't our fault, was that, remember that last phase of the electric underground?
Yes.
We got it done to contracting. They didn't get it awarded.
Yep.
That's the only one I can remember. The EAs and geobase back there, Chad's always got us covered on that every time I talk to MASCOM and talk in the MIPT list and all that, we're always covered. And the EAs do a lot of digging permits, field survey, they do a lot of under the radar stuff that really help out with the construction control inspections, and so they're a huge help. And that's a smart bunch. Those kids that come in here, EAs are just smart as heck. The construction control reps do all the surveilling of the project sites, ensuring compliance, and they always keep, every time I talk to Collins, they're very happy with our paperwork and our documentation, so I know they're doing a good job. And I always get 1 to 3 officers, and they always do an outstanding job for me. It's kind of a thrill, and it's kind of a privilege to do their, first one doing their feedback, and they get the first OPR from me, and it's kind of an honor for me to do that. I'd like to thank the other flights. Ops bails us out a lot. We get to the end of the job, and it's a lot cheaper for ops to do it than to do a mod, and they bail us out quite a bit doing it. I know they're doing a lot more work than they want to for us in that regard, but they're a real help to us. And they save government a lot of money, you know, to bail us out on those projects. Fire, shout out to them, because they're always there for project reviews, take everything seriously. We never have to call them twice or anything. They're there, and engaged all the time. CEI, they try to keep us out of trouble, real property. I don't think I'm out of trouble yet with them, but they try. And environmental, we try to stay out. They keep us out of trouble on that as well. So I appreciate that. Special shout out to Diana Gilchrist. She's assisted me since I was a captain in the Guard, real property. And tried to teach me real property. She still, yeah, she hasn't succeeded. I still don't understand it. You think I'd have caught on by now, but it's not her fault. She does a heck of a job supporting me. She's a perfect person to put in charge of the, well, I call it the cats and dogs flight. They get everything else, you know, operations, engineering, and everything else. And she's a good one to keep track of all these different things, wheels that are turned in that organization. Always has, even I'll ask her questions that don't even apply to her. Why am I calling Diane? Because I know I'm going to answer. And I always do. She'll look it up and give me the answer. So I really appreciate her being on. Stephanie Kelly, her advice on, she's trying to get me out of jail from this appropriation.
Them out of jail.
And I really appreciate her advice. You ask her a simple question and you think you're gonna get it. You know, like, you think it's an easy answer. She's gonna give you 15 minutes, it's very detailed 15-minute answer. But I really appreciate her taking the time to give you that 15-minute answer, because she's serious about her job, you know. She wants to make sure she gets it right, and you're understanding where she's coming from. Big shout out to Sean Schwartzbeck, when he was resident engineer. He bailed us out so many times, the SATOC process. And John worked that thing like nobody in the Corps could ever do. He stuck his neck way out, bent the rules, and see, he never broke any rules, and they sure seemed like they were bending. And he was even fighting his own people in the Corps to get some of the stuff done. It was remarkable to to watch. I mean, we probably spent $50–60 million in the state dock. That Ford building project was one of them. I'll guarantee you that project would never happen without John and the state dock. So, big shout out to him. Okay, a little bit about me before I terminate here. I come from Lansing, Michigan, graduated from college there. Spent 2 years in the Army. I had Vietnam orders. I went to Fort Lewis shipyard on C-141. And it was the same day Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. Walked on the moon. So I went over to the club and watched that thing on TV. And they changed my orders to Hawaii while I was there, Fort Lewis. So we go to Hawaii, and instead of being on a C-141, they needed 60 combat engineers in Hawaii because Nixon was the first pull out of Vietnam. They were pulling out to Vietnam, and they needed engineers to set up barracks and do all that stuff to support that. But I got there a week or a day earlier, a day later, I was going to Vietnam. Got there on the right day, they just pulled 60 folders out of the combat engineer. And so we're on this plane. It's a commercial flight. They used to have champagne flights back then. So there was probably 20 civilians on there, and the rest of it was all military. And you can imagine a bunch of military guys that thought they were going to Vietnam yesterday. And now they're going to Hawaii and free champagne.
Win the lottery.
Recipe for disaster.
Win the lottery.
You had stewardess sitting on their laps, and even some civilians sitting on their laps. I said, it was terrible. Everybody was drunk. And I didn't really realize, I didn't really trust the Army back then. I didn't think we were really going to Hawaii. We're probably going to a stop before we were going to Vietnam. It wasn't until I saw Diamond Head out there, damn, we're going to Hawaii. Anyway, got out of the Army. Became a structural engineer in downtown Columbus, Ohio. And that's where I met Tim Reed. You know Tim Reed, good. We were structural engineers, and we were designing bridges. In fact, we had drafting tables. You just see a drafting tables in this room. And my drafting table butted to his, so we're looking at each other, talking all the time. And the only reward for getting a bridge done fast in there was you got another bridge. So some people in there could do a bridge in two months. Tim and I tried to get it done fast, you know. Young kids, we just want to get it done quick. First of all, you get tired of staring at the same damn bridge for more than a week. We knock them out, and these other guys are not taking 4 times long. Remember, they all had idiosyncrasies. It's just weird, all the people in there. And Tim and I made up these nicknames for everybody based on the characteristics of that person. It was funny. We had one guy, when he went on a break, 15-minute break, he went on a break at 9 o'clock to 9:15. You wait, you look at the clock, the minute hand hit 12, he'd watch the second hand come around, hit 12, then he'd go on break. He'd come back with it, he got the same cookie or something every day. Everything had to line up perfectly on the side of the desk. You put a piece of paper on there, crooked, he's gonna turn it. He comes back, and before he gets back to work now, he eats his cookie. He's watching that clock again. 15 minutes after, second hand hits 12, now he's back to work. Every day, and that's how he's structured. And then I can name other idiosyncrasies throughout that. So Tim and I were wondering, are people like that attracted to this kind of a job? Or does this job turn them into that? It's like, I'm not taking any chances, so we both decided to get out of there. And I was the first one to get an Air Force job at Rickenbacker. Then he got a job over at Davis Mountain, and that's where you met him.
Yep.
Good guy. So I took this programming job now, Rickenbacker. Didn't know a damn thing about programming. Who does? Anything about programming? I wasn't even in the Air Force, you know. So 1591s, what's that? And you had, when you did these Milcom packages, you couldn't make any mistakes on it. They went out, because they had these stencils. When you typist typed it in, it went through 3 or 4 copies, and then you ran those stencils through to make several copies. And all those stencils went up to headquarters, and they made a lot of copies of these Milcom packages. So the typist couldn't make one mistake. So in Milcom season, you know, the other 1391s, they'd be typing away in there in another room, you hear this screech, God damn it. Because they're almost done with the 1391, they make one mistake, you get sometimes they have to tell them 10 times to get one little mistake. So anyway, as soon as I got there, 2 months later, they racked the base. Now, it's like, shit, I just lost my other job, now here goes this job. And they announced base closure, they called it base closure, which was actually a realignment. So then I found out, hey, it's gonna be realigned to a guard base, so the base engineer at the guard base left, so I got that job. I applied for it, I got the base engineer job down there. Turned out to be a good thing from an experience standpoint, because it was good to go through that realignment of the base. We had a port authority, and we had to be able to do a lot of space planning. There were 3 flying missions, 2 guard units, and a reserve unit, and doing all this. That was a good experience. Everything else is bad experience. We had I got this, tell you a couple things, they're kind of funny now, they weren't funny, but none of the stuff was funny back then, it's funny now. I had this state employee who was drunk all the time. He'd walk in the back, as soon as he'd walk in the back door, I'm smelling him in the front, I'm in front of the office, and I'm smelling him. I know he's in the building, he's drunk. You go look at him, his eyes are just red as could be, his face bright red, but he can walk a straight line. So I talked to the personnel people, the state personnel, and they had a real strong union there in Ohio. And they're always backed up by real experienced lawyers, the employees are. If they assign a lawyer to us, it's usually somebody just graduated from law school. And so we're trying to figure out how to get rid of this. I talked to personnel, you can't do anything, you think you put a breathalyzer on him or something, or get a shot, get a sample of blood, and get him out of here, just over the limit. You can't, that's harassing the employee, you can't do that. They said if he's walking a straight line and he can do his job, you can't touch him. So I got this drunk, I mean, he can walk a straight line and he can do, he's doing job orders out there. I don't know if he's not, any day now he's gonna kill himself and somebody else. So finally, we're trying to figure out how to get rid of this guy. And finally, he helps us out. He gets a hustler more out of him. He just bought this brand new mower like last week. We had the storage bin. He got the key to the storage bin, got the hustler mower out, decided to take it for a joyride. Goes down, hits a telephone pole. Damages the hell out of that thing. He's laying there beside it. He's unconscious. Okay, I think we got him. So we took some pictures. I had a witness.
Took pictures first. Passed out on the yard.
The guy laying there. And the guy, there was one guy out there who watched the whole thing. He watched him on. He was not authorized. Nobody told him to take that mower. He's not authorized. Damages. We got into rights. So they hold a hearing up at the Army. It's like a courtroom. And a month before that hearing, a lawyer takes a deposition. I didn't think I should be part of this because I didn't directly watch it since the other guy did. But I was there for the aftermath. You know, immediately reactions we took afterwards. And by the way, I was a lieutenant right then. Brand new lieutenant, didn't know shit. Okay, so they take our depositions, and then a month later we go up. I don't hear anything for a month. And when I was trial date, we go up there, and like half hour before the trial, this other lawyer comes up and tells us she's going to ask us the questions. We gave these depositions, but when I ask you, did you see him do this? Just go with what a deposition. I'm going to ask you questions around that deposition. You say yes, you saw him. And whatever you do, you don't say a word beyond that. I don't want to hear anything other than just direct answer your question when I get to the courtroom there. We go in the courtroom, and she gets the questions mixed up. She's asking me his questions, and asking him my question. Did you see what happened? No. They got my answer. I didn't. So it's just a total fiasco, this courtroom. And they kicked it out, and he was exonerated, and they looked like idiots. And so this lawyer calls my boss and says, your guys screwed it up. We had him by rights, but they gave the wrong answers and we screwed it up. It took me forever to get to my boss and convince him, no, we did not screw it up. They asked us the wrong questions. And he was already fired me. I think I was already fired. He thought I screwed it up. And what was amazing was he finally understood the truth. He told the wing commander. The wing commander talked to the adjutant general. I never saw that employee again. I never knew what happened to him. He might die. I don't have to kill him. I don't know. He's gone.
Shallow grave.
Okay, so we had this other episode. The group commander wanted to build an alert facility. We're doing all this consolidation of mission units at the base. And the alert building's on the north end of the base and it's trapped by the Port Authority area. We're going to give it to the Port Authority community. So the pilots can't get out of it. They can't get out of the alert facility. Where before you had all the alert traffic signs, they can go anywhere. Now they're trapped up there. So we have this MILCOM project to construct one just for that in the mission area. So, so the group commander's probably on my desk once a month. I've got to have this thing now. It's very clear to me, get this thing done quickly. So we're out there. There's a building between my building and the project site. So I couldn't look out my window and see it, but I could go out the edge of the parking lot and go look over there and see what's going on. So every once in a while I do that, just see what's going on over there. We had all kinds of delays because they're starting to trench out there in the early spring. It's raining all the time. We finally got underway. The trenches drove. So I go out there and it's the parking lot. There's police tape all over the damn project site. Tape all over, lab and tape. There must have been 12 cops out there, all over this site. So I go over there and I try to get over the tape and stuff. And they stop me, you know. They think it's an emergency. So what happened was, the operator hit some bones, and it looked like they're human bones. And I told these guys, we had demoed the building above it. It was built in 1952 to start the process. So where this is located was underneath that slab. So I told them if somebody got murdered, it was before 1952. and so then they got to thinking it could be historic Indian bones or something like that. And so you immediately called the Interior Department. The guy was in Philadelphia, our rep. He flew down. So it all is taking time, of course. Contractor's spinning his wheels. He's got all his equipment sitting out there. He can't do anything. The guy comes down from Philadelphia. And yeah, he gets down in the hole and says, yeah, I think they're Indian bones. Okay, because he thinks they're Indian bones. Then you got to do an archaeological contract. And then you have to somebody's got to write the spec for this architectural contract. And then you probably had 15 bidders on it. This little stupid contract. And it was raining continually. We had 2 or 4s out there to walk on. I walk those guys out there on 2 or 4, you know, look down on the hole. And finally, the guy that got low bid was a guy that actually worked for the Department of Transportation, which I thought was kind of, he had his night job was to do that kind of work. So I guess he took vacation from his day job, went out there and excavated. And he was down there for probably a day. He said, these aren't any bones. He showed me it looked like a rock to me. He said, that's from an elbow from a 17-year-old girl. Roughly 17. It looked like a rock. And he seemed to know what he was doing. But we thought, well, once you have bones, no matter whose bones they are, you can leave them on the site. They're in situ. You can just leave what's there, put them back close to where you found them, and you can bury them. But to get to that point of those bidding stuff, it's probably 90 days to take it down. Well, in the meantime, this contractor wants his equipment. He wants a rental fee for all this stuff sitting out there. And all it comes out of MILCOM, you know. And so I got to report this daily to the group commander down there away. So we get past all that. We get to the point of putting, all the studs are up, and they're putting in sprayed in insulation before we put the drywall up. Usually you put sprayed in insulation in there, and about 2 days later you put drywall up. Well, it has to reach a meter, a moisture reading before you put the drywall up. 6 weeks later, still hadn't gotten moisture. It was in the wintertime. I had age equipment in there. We had their equipment, we had all kinds of heat going in the building, but that moisture would not come down. So daily I'm telling the group commander, it's not down yet. Finally got past all that and got it all done. It was kind of a futuristic, nice looking building. It was all glass facing the flight line. When the pilots came down there, they're concerned that they're going to put their fist right, because in the middle of the night they'd get up on alert. Put plumb figure, they're going to put their fist right through that glass. And I told them, that's not going to happen. That's laminated glass. You're not going to put your fist through that glass. And they're arguing with me. Yeah, we will. It's dangerous. You got to fix that. You got to change it. So I got all the pilots in there. Probably had 20 of them in there. And we got a 2x4. On 2x4. Both of us grabbed that thing and we ran at that door as we could. And hit that glass. Didn't put a scratch on that glass. This guy said, okay, well, believe me.
Man, I thought you were gonna tell us it was the mower's body.
So anyway, I had enough of McConnell or Rickbacker. And this AGR opportunity came along. And you couldn't go AGR in place anyway. If you're a VC, you couldn't go AGR in the same spot. You had to move somewhere. In fact, you had to go to a different job. So I worked it all out with the Kansas Guard out here. I'll take the assistant job. We had a pilot, Ron Wilcox was his name. He was a pilot. He was a mechanical engineer, and they had him sitting in the VC slot until somebody came along. So they put me in until I felt safe to just slide me over to the VC job. So I came here, and it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I mean, the culture over there was tremendous. A couple of things that happened to me over there. We went through a lot of conversion. It was easy to get money because we're converting all the time. F4, F-16, AB, F-16, CD, B-1 bomber. I mean, we're never stopped. And you're first in line for the money. So the money just rained down. We could do anything they wanted to have done. They gave me 2 assistants. At Rickberger, I had no assistant. If I wanted to get anything done, I had to go to the drafting table myself and draw it up right spec. Here I got 2 guys to help me. And they're pretty good people too. They're effective. So I ended up smelling like a rose over there. One thing that happened to me, I got an F4 flight. Ron Wilcox is a good friend of mine. He was like the VC, like I said before I got here. So he hired me. And at that time he was an F4 pilot. So we were going up to Andrews Air Force Base to talk facility stuff up there, bring the centers up there. So we get on the F4, and I'm a little bit, it's a real stormy day. And I'm thinking, shit, you're going to cancel this flight. I'm not looking. First of all, the day before you go on a fighter flight, you get egress training. You get 4 hours of it. And they show you how to get out of the cockpit. You have to go, the pilot's dead up there or something. You get out of the cockpit. And then they show you how to steer. They got this parachute strings hanging out, how to steer that parachute. You're sitting there steering the parachute. You go through all that training for 4 hours. So you're kind of, you're wondering if you really want to take this flight. So I get in there and I go up, and it amazes me how fast you get above the clouds. You get in there, man, like 2 seconds, we're up there, it's daylight. And we're going along, and all of a sudden, Ron yells out, "Damn it!" And he turns the plane around, going 180 back. So I'm looking for all these, how do I get out of here? I think something's wrong with the airplane. And what happened was, everything's mechanical on that floor. And when the gear goes up, the gear indicator has to go up, show that they're up. If it fails to do that, then you got to do a 180, recycle it, and 99 times out of 100, you recycle it, shows it up. So we did that, this is common procedure. I told Ron, don't ever yell, "Damn it." That's a signal to get out of here. Now, so we had an F-16 to shoot. We used to take F-16s down to graduations. So we'd throw our Master S in the pod, F-16 would fly down there. They had 2-seaters. demount. And on this one day, I went down to Wing Commander's flying. I'm in the back, and we went down to, I can't remember what base down there, Texas somewhere, there was graduation. We went to, once graduation, came back out, and got back in. Skies are clear, no problem, getting the airplane go. Get closer to Wichita, I mean, it's soupy, rough and soupy, and it's not good weather. And he's landing that damn airplane, but I don't see anything. I know he doesn't either. It's like, when's it gonna break in this fog, you know? And I guarantee you, I don't think he saw that runway until we were like 10 feet off that runway. We hit that thing. And you get off of there. After we got out of the airplane, he said, kind of rough landing. So I go to this conference like 3, 4 years later, where all these pilots are sitting around and drinking beer and stuff. And they're talking about their worst flights ever, most dangerous and all that. Hear all these horror stories. Well, the Wing Commander throws out that flight, so that's the worst. I almost didn't make it on that flight. I should have diverted, and I didn't. I thought, holy shit, lucky to be alive. Okay, so I had a good time over there. Got a lot of work done. Came over here in 2002. It's GS11. And so I go from a basically perfect culture to the, you know who, flight chief we had at the time. And she was really tough to deal with. And no leadership ability whatsoever. I mean, she would just down talk to people and just, it was ridiculous. And how she stuck around that long, I had no idea. You know, she'd been 4 or 5 years doing that to people. And so I get in the office. I finally went into her office, sat her down. I didn't sit her down. She sat me down. And told her, you know, I was just honest with her. You're going to lose your job if you don't change. You can't treat people the way you're treating them. In the background, I knew they were taking some action across the street on her. And I didn't tell her that, but I just said, you need it. And I tried to help her, you know. Here's the things you're doing wrong. And I got about halfway through that, and she would kick people out. Get out. Get out of here. Yell. Whole building here. Okay. So I leave. But since I tried to help her that one time, every time she got in trouble, after that, she'd call me in there, give my advice. I'd give her some advice, then she'd kick me out again. If it ever sounded like criticism, it couldn't sound like criticism. It sounded like she's being criticized. You're out of here. So I had to watch how I said things. Weird, but I knew if once she left, the culture would be easy to change that culture. So, and that gets to the last part of this thing, and that's I guess the highlights, one of the proudest of here, and that's one of pretty easy to do, change the culture of the flight. It's a more positive culture. I think I empowered people to do their jobs. There was a time in my career when I didn't. I go into a meeting and try to take it over. And I learned not to do that. Let the project manager let the project manager run. So I tried not to attend any meetings. So I wanted them to run that meeting. And I don't think any facility sucked for it, for me getting out of there. Sometimes you feel like you're on a rowing team. They take the old guy, give him that megaphone. He sits up in front of the boat. He's yelling, "Go faster!" Everybody else is back there, we're going like hell. And that's kind of me. It sounds like we're not going to make the fiscal year then. Row faster. But it worked out. The guys do a great job. There's a lot of camaraderie over there. It's fun to watch. Really. Fun to be part of that flight. We've got some great newcomers coming too. I think we look at their attitude first. Got some young people who don't have much experience or competency yet, but they got really good attitudes. And that's gonna keep that culture going for years and years. We can hang on to it. I got to mention that overhead power project. That was just. I know you guys had to work hard to sell it because not all the senior staff was. When you're divvying out the money every year, it's hard to sell that. It's not lipstick stick on a pig. But if you look at the long haul, it sure did a hell of a lot for the appearance of days. Airfield lighting bulb, that had a huge impact on the base, and that was just like thread on a needle. I mean, I don't even know how we made that one happen. That was through all the funding regulations. I don't want to even go there, but it's like, we made it happen. And, you know, think of the impact of that project. We did make that happen. The safety, how easy it is to operate the lights from the tower, easy troubleshoot, safety, just, I mean, it's a great project. I can't not mention the Ford building consolidation project. It was an ugly project. And I was real glad when it was over with. And but boy, it was a challenge, and it was like uncharted territory, let's put it that way. Still don't know how we made that happen. And like I said before, I'm the guy holding the megaphone to play the whole award. And they got to be a product. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else, but can't read my own writing. So I appreciate all the assistance I've had through the years. All done a great job for me. And what else do I say? Goodbye. By the way, I'll still be around. Get my pills and go into the Dole Center.
Taking care of the young ones over the years, I appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure, sir. Thank you.
So I think from here, you're headed back over to the light, right, Jim?
Yes.
All right, so for all the folks online, Mr. Mill will be heading back over to his building. So for the folks that are over there especially, have a chance to say thanks again to him one-on-one. And we're gonna keep this gym up here.
Oh, heck.
So we're gonna keep this up here. If you wanna come by and add signatures to it, please, by all means do. So we're gonna keep it here and let some more folks sign it.
I just
And
said I couldn't have it.
what's that? No.
It was just for show.
It was just for show. Yeah, no, it is yours. We're gonna keep it up here though, and we're gonna get more people to sign
I
it.
appreciate it.
So you got, like I said, you got the head office right now, but we're gonna get the rest of the guys. We might even let your, one of your lieutenants here sign it, so.
Great.
So your two lieutenants will be the last two lieutenants to ever have an OPR signed by you.
This is
What an
true.
honor.
Yep, so, but thanks again, Jim. Thanks to everybody out there.
And,
We're signing off here.
Thanks, everybody.
Out.
Thank you, guys.